In tonight's edition of Newsnight, is President Akufo-Addo opening himself up for possible impeachment following senior minister's admission that the case against Chinese Galamsey Queen was terminated for economic reasons. We hear from the minority.
Abandon the enforcement of our laws because of pecuniary gain. It's the height of impunity. I can't even describe what that does. It's an indictment on the president. In fact, that could trigger the impeachment process.
But as civil society, opposition political parties condemn the comment, what is informing government's dead silence on the matter.
That lady was a powerful woman and had been powerful for almost 10, 15 years. She goes and comes. She arranged marriages here and there. She integrated herself into the Ghanaian community and society.
There seems to be the sense that government is quiet, it will blow away. Well, that I don't think useful position to take.
New investors express interest in controversial Saglemi housing project after government spent $180 million. Tonight, we'll tell you why they cannot get an offer now.
But they can't continue until the projects are properly assessed and then the legalities are in place for the contract to be terminated so that when we receive the advice, we give them what it will take to complete it.
Angry customer protests forced Kumasi branch of Gold Coast Securities to shut down today as new May 14 date is set to stage massive demonstration.
The office was closed down. There was this notice in front of the gate that they vandalized the place the last time the customers came here. So because of that, the office has been closed down.
Business Ghana Union Traders Association GUTA raises questions over investment data released from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center GIPC. We have details of this and more in 30 minutes.
Later in sports, 65 players from across the world set to battle it out for the $15,000 prize money at the McDan ITF World Tennis Tour here at the Accra Sports Stadium.
And later on Newsnight, Ochihene Osajifo Amwetia for Ipingi vows to resist attempts by any individual to thwart the drone medical services, saying it is only nation wreckers and witches that fight against progress.
There are people who are sitting here today who may be hearing us will think, well, we're going to disrupt this by stealing the blood. Let me say it in tree.
We have details of that Newsnight headline sponsored by Eden Heights. Eden Heights, welcome home.
You want to join us with your views and comments, feel free to do so. Send us a WhatsApp here on Newsnight 0244340437. My name is Evans Mensah.
I am MF Papa. Do stay for details. President Akufo-Addo, at his inauguration on the 7th of January 2017, pledged to uphold and defend the Constitution of Ghana and affirmed to suffer the penalty for it if he violates the oaths of his office. Comments by Senior Minister Yao Safo-Maafo justifying the decision by government to abandon the prosecution of Chinese illegal mining queen Aisha N1 in return for economic gain is raising issues of violation of that oath. For the minority spokesperson on illegal and constitutional affairs, Inusa Fuseni, until the president distances the government from the comment, he could be opening himself up for possible impeachment. More on that shortly. But first, a recap of what has happened so far.
A very good relationship with China.
The speech that reignited the controversy that had literally died due to a lack of official explanation about what could have caused government to terminate the prosecution of 5 Chinese nationals. The commitment of government to prosecute this case was questioned right from the onset by pressure group Occupy Ghana when government charged the alleged Galamseyers under the Immigration Act, which the group argued attracts a lesser punishment. The charge sheet was later amended with an application made to an Accra High Court for the case to be discontinued months into the trial. This left many shocked. Questions were asked, but there were no official responses until the senior minister spoke.
It's a Chinese company. Putting that lady in jail in Ghana is not going to solve your economic problems.
This has since received widespread condemnation.
It doesn't even merit, serious discussion. It should be condemned.
Really, that's why he ought not to have brought in this whole point in order to create credibility and integrity challenges for himself and the administration that he belongs to. But it's difficult to defend him on this score.
We cannot in one breath have a president who has actually staked his political career on and said, I want to fight this particular fight. And then we have the same executive going to court for a case that is going quite well and filing an only prosecutor. You petition the Attorney General, you don't get a response. And only to now get the senior minister coming to tell us and rationalize that after all, it was because of a commercial deal.
For exposing us to that level of ridicule, he ought to be fired.
Government is yet to either back or distance itself from the senior minister's position on the matter.
And we're hearing tonight from the minority, Yusuf Hussaini, who is a ranking member on the Constitutional Parliamentary Legal Affairs Committee, raising the scepter of impeachment around this. So is there really a legal question to answer there? Let's speak to private legal practitioner Ernest Kofi Abochi. Mr. Abochi, thank you for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you, Evan.
Is there a legal question over these comments by the senior minister?
I'm not sure what you mean by legal question.
What I mean is, we know that the Attorney General exercised nolle prosequi, which is a legal instrument that she can use with discretion. Now the explanation had come that may have been exercised because of possibly economic reasons, and minority saying that is an affront to the Constitution. The President or the government cannot do that. It would be a violation of the Constitution and our laws, and they even raise the scepter of impeachment. Do you agree?
The legal tool of nolle prosequi is a prosecutorial discretion that is allowed the Attorney General to decide to discontinue prosecution at any stage of criminal prosecution. Therefore, it's a tool that allows the Attorney General to manage the process of prosecution, and it's a discretion that he or she can exercise along the spectrum of the entire prosecutorial process. Now, in this case, it therefore falls under the general laws of discretion in Ghana, or the exercise of discretionary powers in Ghana, which also therefore implies under Article 296 of the Constitution that where a public officer is vested with discretion, that public officer must, among others, ensure that his action conforms to fairness and candidness, that whatever he does is fair and candid. So the question, therefore, that has to be asked in this case is whether or not the exercise of that discretion conforms to the constitutional criterion. Again, a court has to make these decisions, but over the years, I dare say that we've not had, a clear itemization of all the circumstances under which this power can be exercised, even though by standard professional practice, often, it can be exercised under one of three legs, occasionally more. But the first one can be, for example, in the prosecution of a person, new evidence comes up, which suggests that the accused person may not be guilty. The Attorney General can exercise the discretion. Another instance could be in circumstances where, for example, in the entire prosecution, the Attorney General simply doesn't have a conviction in the guilt of the accused person. The Attorney General can enter a nolle prosequi. And then in the final circumstance where, for example, the Attorney General decides to pardon a co-accused person by entering nolle prosequi or discontinuing prosecution so that they can use the co-accused person against another accused person. So broadly, these can be the circumstances. A few other circumstances are there. But we do not have a full itemization. And so there is some degree of flexibility in respect of which the Attorney General can exercise the power of nolle prosequi, except that when exercised, it must be justified and must bear a rational relationship to the ends of the prosecution. And so, that's what I can say at this stage.
You use the word justified, seeing that the only explanation we've had is from the senior minister who says, listen, we have signed a hydro, these economic reasons, and that's why the decision was taken. Is this exercise justified if you're taking the senior minister as on his own word?
As I indicated, the courts have not itemized. First of all, the courts are partly, also responsible. Well, I can't blame the courts, so to speak. But ordinarily, one would have expected that there should be a certain degree of judicial intervention. And so when Attorney Generals put in the request for nolle prosequi or discontinuance of the prosecution, the expectation is that ordinarily maybe judges will question or expect that the Attorney General supplies a minimum factual basis justifying the request for a discontinuance of the proceedings. But it's been treated over the years as a purely administrative discretion at the behest of the Attorney General. And since the Attorney General comes and says, I'm no more interested in the prosecution, so be it. The court almost always grants it. But at this stage, the question then is, whether or not it is open to a court or a third party to make an evaluation of the justification on the basis of which a request for nolle prosequi is entered. And so you're asking the question whether or not economic factors can be a justification. As I indicated, by practice, there has not been much restriction. And so one can argue that in some circumstances, when properly justified or when properly articulated, it can be said that this could be used as a justification under some limited circumstances, because the Attorney General must be convinced that there's an overriding justification, that there's an overriding basis which actually overrules, or as it were, overrides the prosecution of a person. So it's almost like a balancing act, i.e. you are balancing one factor against the factor of prosecution, and you come to a conclusion that the factor of prosecution is less weightier than the other factor. The evaluations will be different on the basis of whom you're speaking to, and the argument will be different on the basis of who's actually standing on which side. And so, as I indicated, the way it's been dealt with over the years has been part of the problem, i.e. the courts have not been invited to make a judicial intervention and to stop a request of nolle prosequi if the Attorney General has not supplied sufficient factual basis justifying a withdrawal. Over the years, we've not done this. And I need to point this out. We have two mechanisms. We have nolle prosequi, and then we have the other mechanism of a withdrawal. Now, a nolle prosequi, when entered, the accused person cannot be tried again in respect to the same facts. That is where nolle prosequi is dangerous. The other mechanism of a withdrawal can be entered, and the accused can be retried for the same offense. That is what baffles my mind in respect of why Attorney Generals over the years do not rather enter the mechanism of a withdrawal, which gives the liberty of coming back again. In the case of a withdrawal, that can be brought in if, for example, in the case of the trial, it becomes clear that, look, gathering evidence is difficult, the prosecution may be headed in the wrong direction, ultimately the case may be lost. The Attorney General is allowed to enter a withdrawal or to request that the matter be withdrawn with the liberty to come back again. So it baffles my mind why usually we go for the one that is a dead end. Once you enter it, you're done. You can come back again. Often we tend to prefer that. And if you ask me, if I have a difficulty with nolle prosequi being entered now and then, that's the difficulty I have. The mechanism of withdrawal is still there, but we don't seem to use that.
Kofi Abuchi, I'm grateful that you joined us. That's a private legal practitioner, and as you know, there's a disagreement on that, and there's a clear legal interpretation by the minority side on the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament, who actually raising the scepter of impeachment. But they've been, we'll hear from the Inusa proceeding and the minority shortly. But there's been a lot of criticism directed at these comments coming from civil society and the rest.
And pressure group Occupy Ghana, they're asking the presidency to dissociate itself from comments by the senior minister. Member of the group, Sidney Casely-Hayford, tells Joy News an official statement from government distancing itself from the minister is important.
The sensitivity and the high impact value of the whole Galamsey issue. We have had a lot more social media focus on his statement than probably we normally would expect. But yes, we do feel strongly that statements of that sort, if they are personal opinions, should be kept in the personal opinion pocket. And if they are government opinions, it should be made very clear that this is what government believes in and this is what government is going to do. So we are not too comfortable with what he said and the way he said it and where he said it.
You make a number of demands. You want first the minister himself to retract if he fails to do that. You think the presidency must formally speak on the matter?
I think it's important when society is so vehement about what has been said and an impression is being created that we are not serious enough about fixing the Galamsey problem. I think if the government is really bent on ensuring that this is done properly, then it is responsible for clearing the air on the matter. And this is why we are asking government to do so.
Well, so that's Sidney Casely-Hayford, a member of the Occupy Ghana group. You know that when the senior minister made that statement, there was a statement from his communications department seeking to clarify the statement that he made. But acting director of the Center for Asian Studies in the University of Ghana, Dr. Lloyd Amoah, has described the clarification as poor. He spoke on the Super Morning Show today.
This particular statement cannot be trivialized at all. It's a particularly weighty statement, given that it was made in public, and up to now, the particular statement that he made still stands in terms of the ways in which he connected, the particular case of Madam Aisha Huang, and Ghana's interactions with China on our attempts to industrialize vis-a-vis the issue of bauxite, Sino-Hydro, and the rest of it.
What if I told you, for the sake of arguments, that Yao Osafo Maafo is not the Attorney General and he's not even on the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, so he may have just been telling us what he thinks individually?
Well, usually in such instances where a public official wants to provide his or her take on a particular matter, an experienced hand like him would indicate that, look, this is my personal opinion, would preface the particular statement with a caveat, to indicate that, look, this is my own sense of things, and I'm speaking on my own behalf instead of representing government. On the basis of what we have thus far, there doesn't seem to have existed that kind of a rider.
So you heard that Dr. Lloyd Amoah, but so far since this incident, government has maintained a loud silence on it, giving rise to several speculations. Minority spokesperson on legal and constitutional affairs, Yunus Hussaini, says the president could be opening himself up for impeachment if he does not distance himself from the comments.
Abandon the enforcement of our laws because of pecuniary gain. It's the height of impunity. I can't even describe what that does. It's an indictment on the president. In fact, that could trigger the impeachment process.
Thankfully, Yunus Hussaini himself is on the line with us. Mr. Hussaini, thank you for your time here on Newsnight. Hello, Mr. Hussaini.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much. I mean, you introduced the I word. I mean, it's almost scary to even pronounce a full word, impeachment. And I hear you attempt to even mention the word, and it's a struggle. I mean, but how do you justify the use of the word impeachment, which really means a legal political process to removing a legitimately elected president, just because of comments of a senior minister?
I was talking about the removal of a minister.
So this is the removal of senior minister.
Senior minister, vote of censure.
So that is not impeachment, is it?
No. It's a ministerial censure.
Okay. So that's a clarity we wanted to see. So what you're saying is there is a stated procedure in law for removal of ministers, which this is what you say applies to the senior minister.
Yes, in the Constitution and in our standing orders.
Explain what that process says.
The process is if a minister has conducted himself in such a way as to bring himself within the ambit of the law, a member of parliament can file a motion, given 7 days notice, and then the motion will be debated within 14 days. The minister will be given an opportunity to be heard on the floor of the House, and a vote carried out and to determine whether he be removed or not.
Will you file that motion?
Well, we are looking at the possibility of doing that.
The minority is seriously considering that?
Yes.
There has been discussions on this?
Yes, I've discussed that with the minority chief whip.
And there is a consensus on this already?
Yes, there is. If the president doesn't fire him.
If the president doesn't fire him, you file the motion, trigger the processes for his removal under the...
Yes, we need to, because he has brought a global shame and embarrassment to the country.
We've just had a legal opinion on this from your good friend Kofi Abochi, who said the Nole Prosecutor tool that was used by the Attorney General is a discretionary one, and in fact the courts and the law, that particular provision, it's a discretion, hasn't been specified enough, and so if economic justification is really what it is, there's nothing wrong legally to use economic justifications to exercise Nole Prosecutor. That's his opinion on this matter. Maybe I'm not quoting correctly. No, it's not like there's nothing wrong. He believes that just because of the way the courts themselves have been properly defined this, it makes it difficult, I guess, to hold this.
We are not taking the Attorney General on his filing of Nole Prosecutor to discontinue the matter.
But that's what Senior Minister was explaining. The Senior Minister was explaining why the decision was taken.
Attorney General has no obligation to... they explained to us why she filed a nolli prosequi. And so we're not asking the Attorney General to explain to us why she filed a nolli prosequi. But we are saying that what the minister says betrays the government's position in his fight against Galamsey. And we are further saying that the pronouncement on that platform exposes this country to global ridicule.
I hear what you're saying. However, the senior minister was only explaining reasons why the case was discontinued and the woman deported. I mean, and the Attorney General took that decision.
The senior minister had no obligation to explain to us why the case was this. Had no, he didn't have the obligation to explain to us why the case was discontinued.
I see. And so you have no issue with the Attorney General discontinuing the case via nolli prosequi, but you have an issue with the explanation.
Nobody has asked the Attorney General to explain to us why she filed the nolli prosequi.
Okay. But the question is, how can you make that clear distinction? Can you take on the senior minister without taking on the person who actually discontinued it?
Well, let the Attorney General, let the government in his defense to say that was the reason why the Attorney General filed the nolli prosequi.
Okay. That's Inusuf Hussaini there. He is speaks for the minority on legal, constitutional, parliamentary matters, and he's a ranking member on that committee. What do you make of the legal question that we've had explained and the minority's discussion? And they say there's a consensus now that if the president does not sack senior minister Osafo Maafo, or he doesn't resign himself, then they're going to use the legal processes to trigger it and file a motion in Parliament for his removal. What's your own opinion on this? Share your thoughts with us. It's 0244-340437 is a WhatsApp line. This is Newsnight. When we return, we'll bring you the story about the Saglame.
Well, so new investors have expressed interest in controversial Saglame housing project after government spent $180 million. We'll tell you why they cannot get an offer after the break.
But they can't continue until the projects are properly assessed and then the legalities are in place for the contract to be terminated, so that when we receive the advice, we give them what it will take to complete it.
Also, Ochehene Osajifo Amwetio for repaying vows to resist attempts by any individual to thwart the drone medical services, saying it's only nation wreckers and witches that fight against progress.
There are people who are sitting here today who may be hearing us will think, well, we're going to disrupt this by stealing the blood. Let me say it in tree. Nia on penka swobiano or any pamone ebeifo.
Financial services, providing affliction, support and solutions. Customer-oriented, superior services. Your success our passion. Trusted, innovative financial services, providing affliction, support and solutions. Customer-oriented, superior services. Your success our passion. 10 good years of loyalty, service with integrity, protective of our Ghanaian brand. 10 years of excellence, 10 years of loyalty. Your success our passion, oh yeah. Your success our passion.
Your success, our passion.
This is what you've been waiting for. The internet experience you've been dreaming about. Welcome to Vodafone's Gigabit Net. Music, pictures, and large documents downloaded in seconds. Lessons from your favorite online masterclass streamed right into your bedroom. With Vodafone's Gigabit Net, it's not downloading, it's downloaded. It's not sending, it's sent. It's not buffering, it's streaming. Switch to Vodafone and get the real 4G experience on Ghana's only Gigabit network. Get 100% bonus for every daily, weekly, or monthly bundle purchase via star 700 hash. The future is exciting. Ready?
Thank you, folks. On my A list today, show some love for contractor EB. So, contractor, what do you think about the country's changing skyline?
Oh, send them down there, Shayuma. Across skyline, they change you, papa.
Wow. Contractor, don't you get worried when you hear of buildings collapsing?
I'm not for an answer on Tassam. It is the lackability of using low quality product.
Please explain why.
Yeah, cement is no quality on your gasem. Village of Fefu it was built with gasem. Says the gasem is your construction. See how pumping. N1, can you tell market? Kotokana Kumasi Airport, Cape Coast Stadium, a trouble gas project in Gasebo. Messi, what the quality? You know what is quality?
Gasem, 3 cement grades, greater value. Gasem, the nation builder.
Good health and well-being. The Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show coming soon.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. Welcome back. Now, there was an important ceremony that was held today. Well, the Ochihene Osajifo Amwetio Foripinyin II says he will resist attempts by any individual to disrupt government intervention of extending healthcare service to hard-to-reach areas in the country. Speaking at the official launch of the Ziplines Medical Drone Center in Suhum in the Eastern region, Amwetio Foripinyin II warned that not every Ghanaian will be happy with the introduction of the drones for medical supply, but says that he will resist attempts by any individual to thwart the drone medical services.
It's said, among other things, that this will be the greatest, largest in Africa, maybe in the world. This is going to change our lives. One thing also is the machines, the drones, the technology are not going to do it by themselves. We need people who are going to be committed. That has been the problem of our country. Committed workforce, genuine, sincere people who work to make this thing work. Talk about Tafu when they drop the vaccine in the blood. There are people who are sitting here today who may be hearing us will think, well, we're going to disrupt this by stealing the blood. The blood will never get to the table where the doctors need them. In this country, a whole drug warehouse in Tema disappeared. Let me say it in tree. Nia ompenka swobiano oyinipa boni ebeifo ade say ya ebei onipa bi ebese no na ye makwan.
Well, Ominako Center, located in the Eastern region, is the first of 4 facilities to be established. Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu says the remaining 3 centers will be ready by the end of the year.
This revolutionary healthcare service will help save lives, decrease waste in the system, and increase healthcare access for more than 15 million people across the country, most especially remote areas that are very difficult to reach. As you may be aware, our mission at the Ministry of Health is to contribute to the socio-economic development and the development of a local health industry by promoting health and vitality through access to quality health for all people living in our country. This is not only achieved through the core mandate of managing and growing our network of health facilities, but also through empowering our committed workforce with the tools they need to save every single life. It is for this reason that we are sincerely grateful to you, Your Excellency, for the bold commitment and tireless support you have provided to this ambitious project, because we know that it will help our country's health system leapfrog into a 21st century system that can cater for the needs of all.
Now we can hear from the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
We are using technology to increase the access of Ghanaians to one of the basic public services that every citizen deserves. Second, we are using technology to solve a major problem in our health delivery service. We can now prevent the death of the mother in labor in these deprived areas who needs blood. We can now deliver critical medicine like snake serum to regional and district hospitals in the shortest possible time. I am personally excited because today Ghana joins other countries in using drone technology to deliver healthcare services. And we are also launching the biggest medical drone delivery system globally. That is the biggest in the world.
You heard that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and you know that the very first time this drone services was announced, there was a lot of controversy. It even ended up in court, we're told, and you recall this issue. And Member of Parliament for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe, was leading that, and he joins us on the line here on Newsnight. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. So officially it's been launched, but I would first want to find out the status of that legal tussle. You went to court on this matter. What's the status of that case?
Thank you very much. Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners. As of the last time we checked from the court, we made a search to see whether the Attorney General has put in response, but nothing of that sort was found as we did the search. So actually, we are waiting on the court to give us direction. But before I continue that, I never put injunction on the agreement. It was not an injunction. It was administrative error that the government of Ghana and then the Zipline company committed, and I was seeking the court to address those anomalies. And that was the reason why I went to court.
Okay, so there was no injunction, but what then would happen if the court rules in your favor or so? What would be the status of this project? Do we know? At least not to preempt it, but do you know what would happen?
Well, actually, I don't know actually. But I think the most important thing is we set the record straight. If there had been a breach of one of the articles or acts in the Public Procurement Act, and that has been addressed by the court or is being addressed, has been ruled in my favor, then going forward we will have to take a cue from that and then know how to sign this type of agreement.
But your pleadings in court as it stands, would it affect the actual operation of this, service?
Really, when it was when the court ruled in my favor, it will definitely affect the operation of the service. It will definitely do.
How?
Well, because the court will direct that the agreement be brought back for the necessary anomalies be corrected before we can even go ahead to execute it fully. Now it's been launched. It doesn't mean that the contract has been, actually executed to the fullest.
Well, thank you very much for your time. You heard Ernest Nogbe. He's a member of Parliament for Ashaiman.
So, listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. Soon we'll bring you sports and that crucial game between Manchester United and Manchester City that will determine where the title is one that sports will bring us updates on. But now, let's do some business. Hello, Charles.
Hello, Evan. So coming up in business, Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, raises questions over investment data from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC. We have the details on this story. And mobile insurance provider Bema Ghana introduces 2 new insurance policies to boost insurance penetration in Ghana. Business News on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN 4G Plus. For faster connectivity and highest internet speed, choose MTN TurboNet. And Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials. First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Game over. Oh no, I lost again. Mommy, can you please buy me some coins for my game from Play Store? Please.
Kojo, how? I don't even have a debit card.
Hey Mommy, don't you know you don't need a debit card to buy on Play Store. You can pay with MTN Momo.
Can I?
Yes.
Hey Kojo, how do you know?
Mommy, everybody's talking about it at school.
Really?
You can now use MTN Momo to buy your favorite apps and games on Play Store. First, choose the app or game you want and select the MTN Momo option to pay. It's that simple.
Yes, I did it. Mommy, I won.
We day for you, everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience
experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Let us help you bank with the right bank. At First National Bank, we're more than just a bank. We're a digital partner that actually understands your business. Enjoy massive value with our various banking solutions. Get a business check account, a day-to-day transactional account for all businesses from all sectors of the economy. Access our online banking enterprise and bank your way 24/7. Invest with our short or long-term options that enable immediate access to funds. Optimize your cash flow, raise capital, and acquire assets with ease with our lending solutions. Trade with speed, consistency, and innovation with our global payments and forex solutions. With so much value up for grabs, there is no reason not to bank with First National Bank. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Honey, I need to get some.
But I don't have cash on me. Let me get some fuel quickly and let's go.
And how are you going to get the fuel? I thought you said you didn't have cash on you. What is this one?
My Puma card.
All it takes is a card. The Puma card allows you to buy fuel cash-free from all Puma energy filling stations. You can use your Puma card with any Visa point of sale and ATM across the country. The Puma card also works on mobile money. You get amazing discounts when you fill up with your Puma card. So register for free and get your Puma card instantly at any Puma filling station.
And you only got one for yourself, eh?
Yeah, would I have had my peace of mind?
Oh, thank you, honey.
And where are you going?
I'm getting something from the shop real quick. I need to test the card.
Puma card. Cash-free convenience.
Imagine living in a world of comfort and luxury. In a well-planned and gated community with access to an ultra-modern sports complex which has Olympic-sized swimming pools, football, basketball, athletics, and gym facilities. I'm talking about Eden Heights, the new destination for luxury in Ghana. Eden Heights is developed with the highest grade of finishing in our penthouses and our 1 to 4 bedroom apartments, and is located close to the beach resorts along the Atlantic Ocean, about 30 minutes drive from the airport and 5 minutes walk from the West Hills Mall. Eden Heights is the ideal location for luxury. Visit us at edenheights.com.gh or email to sales@edenheights.com.gh or call us on 050-153-1444 or 050-153-1445 for more information. Eden Heights, welcome home.
Joy 99.7 FM.
And welcome back to Business with me, Charles Ayete. The details: investment data from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, has come under public scrutiny as some stakeholders question its authenticity. The latest critic has been the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, which wants the GIPC to come out with practical figures that have fiscal impacts on the Ghana's economy as well as the trading community. Let's listen to GUTA's president, Dr. Joseph Obeng.
So these figures have been coming from time to time. It's not only last year or this is what the GIPC have been saying all year. And mostly they say we have foreign direct investment of probably 5 billion. Normally they go around that. $5 billion is not a joke of money. If investment of $5 billion, then we have to see the fiscal infrastructure. We have to see employment that it has generated. Do you see them? So why those figures? And so I was saying that those figures have to be interrogated and investigated.
That was President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Director General of SNET, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrah, has assured that all bottlenecks causing delays in the processing on payments of pensions will soon be a thing of the past. According to him, SNET has set in motion measures to address these delays as the National Pension Regulatory Authority, NPRA, is now willing to crack the whip on providers. Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrah has been speaking at the 2019 Organized Labour Forum as part of the May Day celebrations.
SNET does not cheat pensioners. There may be issues relating to service delivery that go and come and all the wahala that some pensioners will have to go through to get their pensions paid. I want to assure you that the trust is working very assiduously to make sure that all that wahala is taken out when one qualifies and applies for their pension. I recognize that both Labour and SNIT have been discussing issues over the last several months, issues related to the computation of pensions, specifically issues relating to the definition of annual salary, the application of annuity factor in the 25% lump sum calculation, and these matters have been referred to our regulator, the NPRA.
Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tenkran. Now, leading mobile insurance provider Bima Ghana has introduced new products to boost insurance penetration in the country. The Be Life and Be Health insurance policies are to provide up to 10,000 cedis over cover to improve the habit of insurance in the informal sector and among low-income earners. Damiet Gaut is Managing Director of Bima.
We're only providing support when you are admitted at the hospital. Actually, Ghanaian customers want a lot more than that. You may have just a minor ailment, you just need some medicine, and you want your insurance company to support you with that. You want also to be able to access doctors without necessarily having to go through a queue, having to pay folder fee. So with the Bima Doctor service, that's what we've been trying to do, bundling with a traditional insurance products that insure you if you are admitted to the hospital, also giving you access to doctors for you and your entire family. So any health-related question, you can actually call the Bima Doctor. We would give you a medical consultation, possibly prescribe medicine to you. You would receive an SMS with your prescription. If you need to be referred, then we refer you. So really, we accompany you during the entire customer journey. Any step for you from just the simplest health question to I'm admitted to the hospital, we want to be here to cover you and to support.
Damien Gaut is Managing Director of Bima, and just before we leave on the stock market, at the end of trading today, there were 3 gainers and 1 loser. Funmill Ghana Limited gained 2 pesos to close at 8 cedis per share. GCB gained 4 pesos to close at 4 cedis, and Total also gained 2 pesos to close trading at 5 cedis 9 pesos. Meanwhile, Ecobank Ghana Limited was the only loser as its shares dropped by 1 peso and closed trading at 2 cedis 15 pesos. That's it by way of business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, Charles. Some of your messages that you've sent via WhatsApp. This one says, I'm really sad this evening. We're not serious as a country. The CID boss is still at post. God have mercy on us. You don't play with people's emotions in a sensitive issue like this. This coming from Justice Rock in Pram Pram. Farouk in Tema says, this comedy of errors by the police is not funny anymore. What pushed you out to come up with that press conference, knowing very well they don't have the kidnapped girls under their control? The action has brought this unnecessary pressure on them. I share the frustration of the families.
We need to make a distinction. There was a press conference by Tiwa talked about the fact that they know where the girls are.
Yeah.
And then
they didn't say they have them.
They have them.
Custody.
Yeah. It's this latest story by Delegate that said that the girls have in fact been rescued, which the police tonight is saying isn't true.
And this one from Mary says, so does it mean that the CID boss told a lie? What country are we in? And this one also said, good evening, Evans. What exactly is going on with the Tardy girls? Why are they playing funny tricks with the family? Do they understand what they are doing or what the family is going through? What's this today? We know where the girls are. Tomorrow is false. They should do the right thing.
Kofi Siedu says a senior minister cannot be sacked by the president because the senior minister just communicated the mind of the president. Jagos from Insawan says, I just hope the Stakrade girls can be found as early as possible because now it's getting to months now since they were kidnapped. Mother Ghana.
And this one finally says, I think it is illogical to say that Honorable Osafo Mafo's comments are an impediment to the fight against Galamsey. Some of your comments that you've sent in via WhatsApp. And even before government properly terminates its contract with contractors of the Saglami housing unit, a number of investors have already shown interest in completing the project.
Now, Contractora OAS Ghana Limited have, in a letter cited by Johnny, told the ministry it cannot continue with the project. They've terminated it whilst demanding a refund of some $2 million in tax waivers. But addressing a news conference today, Works and Housing Minister Samuel Atachia said government cannot take over the facility until the Attorney General has advised.
They come out with this J. June argument that, we are owed we have to refund some tax. That's about a bare 2.6% of the amount. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is important for you to come to terms with the fact that we will not be able to take over the projects unless we have the opinion of the Attorney General, who is the principal legal advisor to the government in terms of Article 88 of the Constitution. I have been prompting the Attorney General because the volumes of paper on this matter were sitting this tall, because you can't ask the Attorney General to proffer an opinion in a vacuum. So there is a necessity to bring the underlying documents and every originating document for the Attorney General to internalize and advise. The Attorney General, because of how our NDC brothers provoked this issue, because we're going quietly, has informed me that we shouldn't even worry too much the advice. When we have the advice, we have our view as a ministry, but we have to defer to the Constitution and let the Attorney General advise. When we receive the advice, we know what to do. And very soon, certain things are in the background. There are a lot of investors who want to come and continue the projects, but they can't continue until the projects are properly, assessed, what has been done, and then the legalities are in place for the contract to be terminated, and then we will deliver the houses to our people.
Now, my colleague Ernest Menu was at that news conference and joins us in the studio with some more details into this matter. So, Ernest, there were some revelations made about the contract itself. Let's start with the number of housing units expected.
So we know that this Saglemi housing project should have delivered 5,000 at a contract sum of 200 million. Mm-hmm. However, we are told that in 2014, the then Minister Collins Dauda, together with the contractors, entered a new agreement that reduced the number from 5,000 to 1,500, just a little above that. Mm-hmm. And then after the NDC government at the time lost power, it was reduced again further downwards to 1,024 housing units. So from 5,000 to 1,024. It is not yet clear, but that as the minister says, the Attorney General is reviewing documents associated to it. We can listen to him give us some more explanation.
Parliament has approved that 200 million United States dollars, less some charges, should build 5,000 housing units. But something happened on the 27th of February 2014. Without parliamentary approval, the parties, that is my ministry, representing the government of Ghana, and the contractor reviewed the original agreement and signed what they called First and Restated Agreement with Messias Constructora OS Ghana Limited to define the number of houses to be constructed, that is 1,502 housing units. The price of the contract sum remained the same, 200 million United States. And this was a time of the minister called Honorable Collins Dauda.
Now, the minister insists that the project shouldn't have stalled. Why?
According to Atachia, they had everything they needed by way of money. The money was available. It was put in an escrow account. And so they had everything they needed to make sure that the project was completed. Let's listen to him give us a breakdown of how the monies were expended.
There's no denial the fact that the contractor, having received an amount of 179,904,757.78 million United States dollars out of 1810189, representing 99.39%, should have delivered pro rata almost all the housing units, including the on-site infrastructure. I want you to understand it because we don't want to joke with this issue. To whom much is given, much is also expected. The Bible says that. If you were blessed with any contractual undertaking and you have used 99.39% of the contract sum, I'm afraid you have no excuse to complain why we can't see the 5,000 housing units on site there. The upshot is that the contractor has misappropriated the sum of 129,898,516.80 million United States dollars, having delivered 142,000 units. That's against the contract figure of 5,000. And I can come and show you that even the 141 is not totally complete.
Interesting development there. But Ernest, what's the state of the housing project and what happens to the completed ones?
So the minister says that the project obviously is not completed, but if you want to get a house, MFA, you cannot live there because according to the minister, the drainage system is not complete. You don't have electricity or water supply to the place, and so you cannot live there.
It's said, among other things, that this will be the greatest, largest in Africa, maybe.
Well, so it's not habitable, like he's saying. But have you been able to reach the former minister for Works and Housing?
Yes, we tried reaching
Collins
Dowda. We're not able to get to him. His deputy at the time, Samson Ahi, we understand is not in town because we tried so many times. We're not able to get to him. So, yeah, we're trying. Once we're able to do that, we can get some responses from them.
Okay. That's my colleague, Ernest Amenu. We'll keep on trying as soon as we get them.
And apologies for that earlier wrong sound, but this is what the minister was talking about.
Some people are saying, and I was very sad because the committee in Parliament on Works and Housing, which is NDC members and MPP members, together with my good self, we went on site before the House rose to go and look at what was on site. It is very clear that we do not have a sewage system in place. So I can't understand how any individual can go and live in a house where there is no sewage system. The taps are not running. There's no electricity. Some people will say that, whose responsibility is that? They call it on-site infrastructure. Every on-site infrastructure is the work of the contractor. We will have to just ensure that when the on-site infrastructure is in place, we go to the big issues.
Works and Housing Minister Atachia. Let's do sports now. Evans can't wait for this. Hello.
I can't wait.
Yes.
This is one of the games I'm not looking forward to.
This is a game that he wants to lose. What?
Evans Mensah.
8 goals. That's what you're saying.
Everything okay?
I mean, what people forget.
Evans wants a hug.
No,
he doesn't need a
Okay,
hug.
you don't need a hug?
No.
Okay.
People forget that the Everton game, and by the way, we're talking about the tonight's game between Manchester City and Manchester United.
Absolutely.
Everton game was a dress rehearsal for today. Wanted to prepare ourselves for an 8-0 defeat.
Right.
So,
you
4-0.
psych yourself up.
Yes. Because you see, it will come down sometime maybe to goal difference. And so we want City to have as...
So you want to do Manchester City a favor? In
Then,
other words,
yes.
you are doing Liverpool against
Liverpool.
Yeah, there's no way Liverpool wins the league.
Okay, right. Let's do the sport itself.
Let's do
Right, just about some 5 days to go for the McDan ITF World Tennis Tour at the Accra Sports Stadium. 65 players across the world will battle it out for the $15,000 prize money at stake, with a 1-week tournament expected to improve the form of Ghanaian players. Isaac Abuajidua is the president of the Ghana Tennis Federation.
The $15,000 McDan Open, which commences on 27th. We're going to have the qualifiers on 27th, 28th, and the main draw starts on 29th to the 5th of May. We have players all over the country, all over the world coming to play. Over 30 countries have registered, and because of the size of our stadia, we can only do a 32 draw. So we're going to have a 32 draw tournament, and we're going to have a 32 draw for the qualifiers, where players would have to play for the qualifiers and enter. And there are a lot, over 50 people on alternates, and this is how big the tournament is that people have registered. We are grateful to the brand, and I must say that Ghana Tennis is ready to partner our sponsors to make this a reality.
Right, and of course, tonight is a big one, the Manchester Derby, that could potentially decide the destination for the Premier League trophy. And United are hosting the holders, Manchester City. Lineup already out. Ashley Young captains Manchester United, and he starts for the Red Devils as well. Also in there is Pereira, Fred as well, and Paul Pogba all starting. And Evans Mensah is not feeling confident. Is it about Ashley Young?
No, he has 5 defenders in the team.
He's got 5 defenders.
5 defenders in the team, including the goalkeeper. That's like 6 players, just play at the back.
Interesting.
He's going to pack the bus, but City will tear the bus down.
Right. Arsenal are also in action against Wolverhampton Wanderers. 10 minutes of that game done. It's goalless at this stage. That's your sports.
Angry customers protest at the Kumasi branch of Gold Coast Securities Limited today forced officials to shut down the company indefinitely.
Well, the customers who have had their investments locked up for months say they have run out of patience with the company, despite assurances they will be paid their money. Now, staff of the company complained they had suffered verbal and physical abuses from the customers, prompting the shutdown. Listen to some of the customers.
There was this notice in front of the gate that they vandalized the place the last time the customers came here. So because of that, the office has been closed down. And me, I never knew. So I came and found out the office has been closed down. So I see it as a sign of disrespect to us because they should have communicated to us.
I am a widow. I believed in Dr. Indu. That is why I invested in Gold Coast Securities. But we are very disappointed. All our monies are locked up. I cannot even cater for my children. This is very depressing.
Some angry customers of the Gold Coast Security. We are still yet to hear from the management of the company. But police in Accra have begun a manhunt for people said to have attacked and wounded 2 policemen in the suburb of Teman. The personnel say they went to the community to arrest a man accused of fraud, but family members and neighbors of the suspect attacked them with sticks and other objects. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
Managed to escape with the handcuff.
I've met the 2 policemen at the Yi Mensam police station. The inspector, who was in charge of the team, has bruises on his chest. His colleague is wearing a red cap. He's using it to cover the big plaster on his head. In his left hand is a white polythene bag containing the receipt of a head scan from a laboratory. The inspector says at a point he had to jump a wall in order to open the gates to the house, which had been locked.
In the process, the man managed to escape with the handcuff, whilst one of the wrists was handcuffed. In fact, the men, numbering about 6, together with 5 women, pounced on us mercilessly. And when we were about to run for our life, one of the ladies locked us in the house, and in fact the assault became intense. I managed to scale over the wall and opened the gate and threw one of my men who was being assaulted into a taxi.
Pictures seen by Joy News show one of the officers in a plastic chair with his uniform soaked in blood and a deep cut on his bald head. He says the son of the suspect hit his head with a stick in an attempt to prevent him from handcuffing his father.
Before I turned like this, I saw a guy with a wood that we should leave the man, we should leave. Immediately, he hit my head with the wood. Blood is coming plenty. I'm feeling headache. They stitch.
Ayi Mensam Abokobi District Commander Superintendent Edward Tete says a police communication device and a magazine were taken from the police and returned after 3 days.
Maxwell Agbagba's report ending tonight's edition of Newsnight. I am Emma Fakao.
And my name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.